This is the Caprese salad. The key to this dish is the fresh ingredients. It's layers of basil, fior di latte, that's the fresh cow's milk mozzarella, and vine-ripe tomatoes or even heirloom tomatoes when we can get them. It's sprinkled top and bottom with sea or kosher salt and freshly ground black pepper. And on the sides, it's served with aged balsamic vinegar and extra virgin olive oil. There was actually a lot of thought that went into presenting this dish. I've seen a lot of bad caprese salads out there. A lot of places mix the oil and vinegar together, or they just toss the tomatoes with the oil and vinegar like it's a regular salad. Honestly, this pretty much ruins a good caprese salad. The balsamic that we use is aged for years, and as it ages, it dries out and gets thicker and more syrupy. To mix it with the juice of the tomatoes just dilutes it, wiping out years of work in seconds before anyone gets to taste the way it was in its original form. So we didn't want to do that. So we found this plate. Took a long time to actually find this plate. And now we separate everything out. So we've got the balsamic on one side, the olive oil on the other, and we let people dip. This actually brings up another little trick that we use. Food tastes more interesting when it's non-uniform. Notice how our pizza doesn't have an even layer of cheese, but rather the cheese is dotted on the pie. Check out this photo. Can you see how no two bites are going to be exactly the same? Like one bite's going to have basil and tomato, another bite's going to have tomato and oil, another cheese and oil, another cheese and basil and crust, etc. Each bite is just a little bit different. By separating all of the ingredients on the caprese salad, we encourage the same thing. One might be dipped in vinegar, the other in oil, the other both, etc. This creates a variety of flavors and mouthfeels. Even using the kosher salt, which is sprinkled on, encourages the same thing. One bite might be a little bit more salty than the other, as opposed to using sprinkled table salt, where it's more likely that everything is going to be uniform. Some customers ask us for extra balsamic. This creates a little bit of a dilemma for us. It actually costs about 75 cents per teaspoon, and no matter what we present, the extra that they want in, put a little ramekin or something, 1 teaspoon of it is not going to look right. It's going to look unbelievably cheap. We've got those little ramekins, and even putting 3 or 4 teaspoons in there, which is like a couple of bucks already, it still looks empty, and it ends up costing more than the whole salad. So, like I said, it kind of created a little dilemma for us. Honestly, the 1 teaspoon we give it looks small, but it's plenty because it's very sweet and syrupy. Most people ask for more, and then they don't even use what we originally gave them. They're so used to the cheap stuff that when they see the small amount that we gave them, they think we cheated them in some way. But they haven't really tasted usually by the time they've asked for more. So we used to charge $2 for more, but really people were kind of outraged by that. It's kind of a hard conversation to have if you think about it. Instead, we now have a bottle of the cheap balsamic, and we can fill a ramekin with that instead. Very few people really honestly know the difference. Usually the people that are asking for the extra are the very ones that wouldn't notice the difference anyway. So that's not the perfect solution, but it's kind of the one we've come to. This dish is served cold because the ingredients must be chilled on the salad line, but really it's best served room temp. So I always ask the salad guys if they've got a bunch of salads to make this one first and kind of let it sit up while they're maybe making other salads for the table, to let it kind of come to room temp. The cheese is going to taste more milky, and the flavors blend best at or near room temperature. Okay, next. Our Caesar salad is pretty much just a classic Caesar salad. It's romaine lettuce with shaved Parmigiano on it and a little bit of black pepper. The dressing is a fairly traditional Caesar, which means that it contains both raw egg and anchovies. Now, the real Caesar would actually have an egg yolk dropped onto it and then mixed into the salad live at the table. So we don't go that crazy, but we do have raw egg and anchovies in the dressing. A lot of people are not used to that, though, because over time, as more and more places have gone to kind of these, pre-mixed, bagged, cheap Caesar dressings, without any anchovies. A lot of people don't even realize there's anchovies supposed to be in it. So we'll occasionally have people, object to the anchovies. But the anchovies is the way it's supposed to be done. This is a traditional dressing, as well as the raw egg. Now the croutons are made from pizza dough and are flavored with fresh rosemary. They're just kind of cut up and baked in the oven. Caesars come in the side salad size at lunch, and then a regular size and a large size. Okay, next. The spinach salad is really all about contrasting flavors and textures. The dressing is made in-house from raspberry preserves. The flavor goes great on the spinach, but the dressing tends to make the leaves a little bit limp. So to add texture, we add these candied pecans. The pecans are dry roasted in a frying pan and then covered with just a little bit of butter just so that the sugar will stick to them. To contrast with all that sweetness from the pecans and the spinach, we add very small pieces of gorgonzola. Now the gorgonzola we use, it's a very creamy blue cheese imported from Italy. It's very, very tangy. Too much of it would overpower everything, but the small pieces we use provide just a great little contrast. The spinach salad, just like the Caesar, comes in a little side salad version at lunch, a regular size, and the large size. The house salad is next. The house salad is by far our best seller. It's got great flavors and contrast. It actually took us like 3 months to kind of concoct this thing. It's got lots and lots of stuff in it, and I really wanted to balance everything and get it just right. It's got a little bit of everything, and everything's well balanced. The base is a combination of romaine, which I put in there for body and for crunch, and arugula, which doesn't really have much body but is a little bit more interesting. It's got a little bit of a peppery type of flavor to it. Then we toss in all these great ingredients. Starting at the top, we've got fresh oregano leaves, green olives, fresh basil leaves, tomatoes, cremini mushrooms, little crumbles of Parmesan, Parano cheese, sun-dried tomatoes, and then the fried capers. The fried capers really are the star of the show. There's no doubt about it. They're like little salty crunch bursts. Now you wouldn't want too many in there because they would overpower everything. It's almost best if there's like 1 or 2 every 3 or 4 bites. It makes the customer want to go dig for them or something. Now, the ingredients in the photo are weighed to spec, so you can refer back to this if you think that something is off. It's pretty easy, since there are so many ingredients and it's made fresh. It's pretty easy for the quantities and the balance to go off. But refer back to this picture. This is the correct values for the quantities. The dressing is a light mustard base, but most people really can't tell that. It's best to just describe it as the house vinaigrette. The salad comes only in the large size because it's so difficult to make, so many different ingredients, that it really doesn't make sense to sell a small one. At that size, though, it's easily enough for 2 or even 3 people to share. Now, we can add pan-seared shrimp to any of our salads, but they definitely go best on the house salad. A standard order has 5 or 6 shrimp. This salad, I believe in the picture, is double shrimp, actually. This is the Salumi Platter. We don't specify the meats on the platter, but we generally use these 3. On the left is the hot soppressata. It's got great flavor. It's a little spicy, but not too much. The middle is the bresaola. It's also pronounced bresaola. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. This is an air-cured beef. It's almost like a very lean, dried-out roast beef. Some people taste this on the platter and then they want to put it on their pizza. Also, some people don't eat pork and are looking for a meat topping that's beef. We don't put bresaola on the menu as a topping, but it is in the computer as one, and people are perfectly fine to order it. I just didn't think it would sell. I didn't think people would know what it was, so I didn't bother putting it on the menu, which has got kind of limited real estate. But it's a good topping on the pizza. Just tell the customers that I recommend not baking the bresaola onto the pie. Some of the meats really go great when they're baked onto the pie because they'll dry out and crisp up. But if the meat isn't already pretty dry, it won't dry out of the pizza. It'll actually just end up getting soggier. So there's just enough time for the water to come out, but not enough time for it to evaporate. So like meats like the prosciutto, they just end up steaming on the pie. They're kind of a disaster. So we place them on the pie after the pie comes out of the oven. The bresaola is kind of in the middle. I could kind of go either way. I could see a case for either way. Tell the customers I recommend not baking it onto the pie, but then it's not a strong recommendation. They can really choose whichever they want. The last meat on this platter is the finucchiona. This is also used on the salumi pizza, but it's kind of overpowered on that pizza by the other meats on that pie and the other flavors. So this platter is the best place to actually taste it. Now you can see the other accompaniments. They're all very good. The caramelized onions are very sweet. The mixed olives are very salty. The cubes of Parano are sharper and also have a different texture than some of the other flavors and some of the other bites on this dish. The arugula is a little peppery. See what I'm trying to do on some of these dishes? I'm trying to give contrasting flavors to create things that are interesting in the mouth. Then we have the bread that's topped with the roasted red peppers. The peppers that we use now are slightly different than this photo. We don't really use those yellow peppers. I think I mentioned in the ingredients section that we had cans of tomatoes that were so expensive that we could use them if the Pope shows up. These are them. They have both the yellow and the red. So I guess that goes for the Salumi Platter also. The Pope should get these cans. Everybody else just gets the red. Everybody else just gets the red peppers. Now we make this bread in-house every day around 4 o'clock, so it can be fresh for dinner. Unfortunately, this means that on a rare occasion, when this platter is ordered before the bread is ready, we end up serving day-old bread, which isn't quite as good, but it's still okay. Some customers ask about the bread. It's really just pizza dough, actually. Some customers even want to buy a loaf. We can sell it if we have enough to get through the night. Just ask the guys in the kitchen. They'll know how much they've got left. Even one customer just wanted a half loaf that we had left. It's actually fairly large, so it does actually make sense. But you can also tell customers if they want a loaf for a special occasion. We've had people that wanted to order it for a dinner party or something they were having. They can just order it a couple of days in advance and we'll make extra. We aged the dough for about 36 hours and it's shaped. So if someone's asking for it on a given night, it's shaped the previous morning. So if someone wants to pick it up on a Friday night, that dough was shaped on Thursday morning. So the more advanced notice they give us, the better. We charge $4.50 for those loaves. These next dishes are these little fried pizzettas. They're like little fried dough balls stuffed with just about anything we have in house that we care to use. Now, before I opened the pizzeria, I baked pizza at home, as many of you know. I used this trick to get my regular oven at home to hit 800 degrees Fahrenheit so that I could use it just like a real pizza oven. Unfortunately, this was kind of a sketchy engineering trick here, and unfortunately every once in a while I would blow a fuse and it would take hours because I had to cool the whole oven down, I had to pull the whole thing out of the wall. It was kind of a production. So I guess it was just a matter of time before this happened in front of like a room full of guests. And sure enough, right before I opened, disaster struck. I had about 25 people at my house. I had everybody. I had like bankers investing in the restaurant. I had food critics. And like 3 minutes before the first pizza goes in the oven, boom, the whole operation shuts down. It was a train wreck. So I'm there, I'm apologizing to everybody. Oh, I really do make good pizza. I was thinking of busting out the DiGiorno. But everyone was kind of packing up and getting ready to go. And then all of a sudden I had an idea, something that I thought of to try one time. And I said, let me try it in front of everybody. I called everybody back and I ended up frying the dough. And then I cut it open like bread. I just fried it but didn't put the sugar on. It's kind of like making the donuts. So I fried it, cut it open, and then I made every single pizza on the menu as a fried stuffed donut, basically, but with a little salt instead of sugar on the outside. And you know what? It worked out great. The fried nucci, in particular, is even better than the pizza version. I always tell people when they order the gnocchi and they go, oh, the gnocchi's the best. And I'm like, you know what's better than the gnocchi? And people get excited. What? And I'm like, the fried gnocchi. These pizzette are almost the same thing as the little fried ones that I made at home. They are a little bit different, but they're a lot easier to make this way in production. We actually, instead of frying them first and cutting them open and shoving the ingredients in, I actually shove the ingredients in first and then fry it. So it's not quite the same. It may not actually be quite as good, but it's pretty good, and they're just yummy anyway. The first one here is Parano, roasted peppers and sun-dried tomato. Then the next one is a gnocchi. And the next one, the one after that, is Nana's. And finally, we get a dolce pizza, a mini dessert pizza, which is the walnuts, the dates, the Fontal, rosemary, and honey. All of our ingredients are great, as you know, as you've been through the ingredients section. And if you just add the word fried to that, what could go wrong? Especially since we fry everything in pretty much the best extra virgin olive oil I've found. So that's it for the appetizers. Thanks for listening.